If a woman's heart is not a game. Napoleon Hill's lesson 8. Man can lose money and earn it again, lose opportunity and create another. If, but play carelessly with a human heart, and one day discover he has lost something success cannot replace. Today you will understand a lesson many learn too late. A woman's heart is not won through games, pressure, or performance. It is opened by something far more difficult, character. Before we begin, answer honestly. Do you seek admiration or connection? Because one fades quickly, the other can transform an entire life. If there is a lesson many people discover too late. Influence gained through charm disappears. Influence earned through respect remains. People often believe attraction is created by intensity. If they imagine the strongest connections come from saying the perfect words, creating excitement, appearing confident, or becoming unforgettable in dramatic ways. But life teaches something different. If what lasts is rarely built on performance, it is built on respect. And nowhere is this truth more visible than in matters of the heart. Many people approach connection with the wrong question. If, how do I make someone choose me? That question already moves in the wrong direction, because lasting connection is not created by being chosen. It is created by becoming someone safe to choose. If there is a difference, one seeks control, the other builds value. Respect creates lasting influence because respect communicates something deeper than attraction ever can. It says, I see your humanity. If I recognize your dignity, I understand that your emotions are not tools for my comfort. This changes the entire relationship. Too often people treat attention as proof of connection. Masks, vadvidlation. If excitement, constant communication, but attention is not trust. Someone can enjoy your presence and still not feel safe with you. Someone can admire you and still not trust you. If because trust does not grow from intensity, it grows from consistency. Respect appears in ordinary moments. It appears when promises become difficult, when emotions become uncomfortable. If when misunderstanding appears, when expectations are not immediately fulfilled, these moments reveal character. Anyone can appear caring during easy moments. If respect becomes visible when circumstances stop rewarding you. Do you still speak with dignity? Do you still remain honest? Do you still protect another person's trust? If many people damage relationships without realizing it. Not through cruelty, through carelessness. They create emotional closeness they cannot sustain. They speak with certainty they cannot honor. If they ask for vulnerability they are unwilling to return, and over time trust becomes fragile. Because respect was missing, respect understands something powerful. Every heart carries invisible history. If people carry hopes, disappointments, dreams, fears, memories. You never fully know what someone survived before meeting you. That understanding changes behavior. You become slower to make promises. If slower to manipulate emotions, slower to treat affection casually. Respect creates influence because people remember how you made them feel, not in dramatic moments, in repeated moments. Did they feel heard? Did they feel pressured? Did they feel valued? Did they feel free to remain themselves? These experiences become emotional memory, and emotional memory lasts. There is another mistake people make. If they think respect removes passion, but real respect deepens connection, because when someone feels emotionally safe, they stop performing, they become real, and real connection becomes possible. If respect does not make relationships cold, it makes them stable. Without respect, attraction becomes unstable. Every disagreement feels dangerous. Every misunderstanding becomes conflict. If every challenge becomes a threat. But respect creates strength. It allows honesty without humiliation, boundaries without punishment, differences without fear. That is influence, not controlling someone. If creating an environment where trust can grow. Many people want to be admired. Few develop themselves enough to be respected. Admiration often depends on appearance. Respect depends on identity. Admiration can disappear quickly. Respect grows. So if you want lasting influence in any connection, stop asking, how do I become more impressive? Ask, how do I become more trustworthy? Keep your word. If, mean what you say, respect boundaries, speak truthfully. Do not create hope carelessly. Do not use attention as leverage. Do not confuse being wanted with being worthy, because real influence is quiet. It does not force. It does not manipulate. It does not demand. It creates confidence through consistency. And one day something unexpected happens. People stop remembering your charm. They stop remembering your appearance. They stop remembering your techniques. They remember your character. They remember that around you, they did not feel managed. They felt respected. And respect has a strange power. It does not create temporary attraction. It creates something rarer, trust. And trust is often where lasting influence truly begins. There is something people discover after enough experience. Charm opens doors. Character determines whether those doors remain open. Many spend years developing appearance, confidence, conversation, humor, and presence. They learn how to make good first impressions. They become skilled at attracting attention, and attention feels powerful. People notice, people respond, people admire. But admiration is not the same as trust, and attraction is not the same as respect, because eventually every relationship reaches a point where personality can no longer carry what character failed to build. This is where the truth appears. Character outweighs charm. Charm is easy to misunderstand. Charm is not bad. Charm can create warmth, can cause excitement, but charm without character becomes performance. And performance cannot survive closeness forever. At a distance, people admire image. Up close, they experience habits, how you speak during conflict, how you behave when disappointed. How you respond when nobody is impressed. That is where character begins speaking. Many people become attractive for a moment. Few become trustworthy over time because trust demands something charm cannot replace. Consistency. Think about how quickly excitement can fade. Someone says beautiful words, makes powerful promises, creates emotional intensity, but eventually life becomes ordinary. Now there are difficult conversations, misunderstandings, stress-delayed responses, changing circumstances, and suddenly the question is no longer, can you create feelings? The question becomes, can you remain the same person when feelings become difficult? That is character. Character is invisible at first, but impossible to hide forever. You see it in small choices. Do people only show kindness when rewarded? Do they remain respectful after disagreement? Do their actions match their values? Do they protect trust when nobody is watching? Character reveals itself quietly. And because it reveals itself slowly, many ignore it. They become captivated by confidence, by appearance, by attention, by excitement, only later realizing they never looked beneath the surface. Because charm creates movement, character creates stability. There is another reason character becomes more powerful than charm. Character creates emotional safety. People often think relationships survive through chemistry, but chemistry creates attraction. Safety creates longevity. When someone knows your words can be trusted, they relax. When someone knows your attention is genuine, they open. When someone knows your behavior does not change with convenience, they connect. That is influence, not creating emotional highs. Creating emotional reliability. Character also appears in restraint. Not every feeling needs expression. Not every impulse deserves action. Not every opportunity deserves pursuit. People with strong character understand this, they do not create closeness they cannot maintain. They do not promise futures to secure present attention. They understand that every word creates responsibility. And responsibility protects trust. Many people want to appear valuable. Character asks a harder question. Are you valuable when nobody is watching? Do you remain honest without reward? Do you remain respectful without approval? Do you remain disciplined without recognition? Because character is who you are after appearance stops helping. And eventually, appearance always stops helping. If life becomes more demanding, people become more observant. Time reveals patterns, and patterns expose truth. Another mistake people make is believing character means perfection. It does not. Character is not never failing. Character is how you respond after failure. Do you admit mistakes? Do you avoid responsibility? Do you protect ego or pursue growth? People trust those who can be honest about imperfection because honesty feels safer than image. So if you want connection that lasts, develop what time cannot remove. Build patience, build integrity. Build discipline, build emotional responsibility. Do not rely only on confidence. Do not rely only on attraction. Do not rely only on being impressive, because impressive moments fade. Character continues speaking. And one day people stop talking about how charismatic you seemed. They stop remembering how persuasive you sounded. They remember something deeper. They remember that your actions felt real, that your words matched your behavior. That being around you required less guessing and more trust. And that is why character outweighs charm, because charm may create interest. But character creates the kind of connection people choose to protect. There is a truth many people only understand after they have already damaged something valuable. Words disappear. Moments pass. But emotional impact remains. People remember less of what was said and more of how they felt while hearing it. That is why emotional responsibility builds real connection, because every word, every promise, every action leaves an unseen mark. Most people think responsibility begins with actions, but emotional responsibility begins much earlier. It begins with awareness. Awareness that your attention affects people. Your consistency affects people. Your silence affects people. Your promises affect people. And when emotions become involved, carelessness becomes expensive. Many relationships do not break because of one dramatic event. They weaken slowly. Mixed signals, unkept promises, temporary attention, unclear intentions, words spoken without understanding their weight. Each moment seems small, but emotional trust is built and broken quietly. People often underestimate this because emotions are invisible. You cannot measure disappointment with numbers. You cannot see trust breaking in real time. You cannot always recognize when someone begins protecting themselves emotionally, but the effects remain. That is why maturity is not simply managing your own feelings. Maturity is understanding your presence creates consequences. Many people want closeness. Few prepare for the responsibility of being trusted. Trust changes everything. The moment someone allows themselves to believe your words, your influence increases. And influence creates responsibility, not ownership. Responsibility. That responsibility asks difficult questions. Do your actions match your intentions? Do your promises exceed your commitment? Are you creating hope where certainty does not exist? Are you speaking for connection or for comfort? These questions matter, because emotional responsibility is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming intentional. Too many people speak from temporary emotion. In excitement, they promise forever. In loneliness, they create closeness. In uncertainty, they disappear. Then they wonder why trust becomes fragile, because emotions change, but consequences remain. Real connection requires emotional honesty, not saying what creates immediate approval. Saying what creates clarity. Clarity may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but confusion creates longer pain. Sometimes emotional responsibility means saying, I cannot give what you deserve. Sometimes it means saying, I do not know. Sometimes it means slowing down instead of creating intensity. This requires courage, because responsibility often asks you to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term respect. There is another hidden part of emotional responsibility. Learning that another person's emotions are not your property. You are responsible for your behavior, not for controlling how someone feels. Many people confuse responsibility with carrying everything, trying to rescue, fix, manage, prevent discomfort. But connection is not emotional ownership. Healthy connection allows honesty without manipulation, care without control, Support without losing yourself. Real connection grows when two people take responsibility for their own truth, not when one person carries both. Emotional responsibility also means understanding timing. Fifth, not every thought deserves immediate expression. Not every frustration deserves reaction. Not every emotion deserves authority. People with emotional maturity create space before speaking. They ask, will this create understanding or simply release tension? Because emotional reactions often disappear, but spoken words remain. Another powerful form of responsibility is consistency. People trust patterns. Not moments. Anyone can show effort occasionally, but emotional safety appears when care becomes reliable. Showing up, following through, remaining respectful during difficulty. These repeated actions create confidence, and confidence creates deeper connection. Think about the strongest relationships you have known. They were not built through dramatic declarations. They were built through accumulated evidence, evidence that words mattered, evidence that presence was sincere, evidence that emotions were handled with care. This is why emotional responsibility becomes attractive. It creates peace. People relax around emotionally responsible individuals because they do not feel managed. They do not feel confused. They do not feel used. They feel respected. So before speaking, pause. Before promising, consider. Before creating closeness, be honest, because every interaction leaves something behind. Trust, safety. Confusion, distant, healing, or doubt, choose carefully. Because connection is not created by intensity. It is created through responsibility. And some of the deepest forms of respect are invisible. They appear in what you choose not to promise. What you choose not to manipulate. What you choose not to take. Because every word, every promise, and every action leaves an unseen mark. And those unseen marks become the foundation of real connection. If there is a belief many people carry into relationships without realizing it, if I can keep this person close, if I can become important enough, if I can say the right things, do the right things, control enough variables, then love will stay. But life keeps teaching the same lesson. Control can create attachment. It cannot create love. Love is built through value, not control. And understanding this changes everything. Many people confuse closeness with connection. They believe constant communication means security. Constant attention means importance. Constant reassurance means commitment. But people can be physically close and emotionally distant. They can speak every day and still feel unseen. Because connection is not measured by frequency. It is measured by quality. Real love does not grow because someone was trapped. It grows because someone remained freely, and freedom changes the entire meaning of connection. Control says, stay because I fear losing you. Value says, stay because being here adds something meaningful to your life. One creates pressure, the other creates choice, and choice creates trust. People often try to control relationships in ways that look harmless. They seek constant validation, they monitor behavior, they become possessive, they create expectations instead of communication, they become dependent on attention. At first, it appears like care. But underneath is often fear, fear of being replaced, fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough. Control always promises protection, but it quietly creates distance. Because nobody feels deeply connected where they feel managed. People open where they feel respected. Value creates that respect. Value is not status, not appearance, not perfection. Value is who you become. Your integrity, your discipline, your ability to listen, your emotional stability, your honesty, your ability to bring peace instead of confusion. This is what creates lasting connection. People stay where they feel safe to become themselves, not where they feel supervised. Many think love means becoming necessary, but healthy love does not depend on necessity. It depends on willingness. The strongest relationships are not built on, I cannot live without you. They are built on, I choose you even though I remain whole by myself. That sentence creates freedom, And freedom creates depth because now connection becomes generosity instead of dependency. Value also means growth. People often expect relationships to solve emptiness, but relationships reveal what already exists. If insecurity enters, control grows. If fear enters, possession grows. If identity is weak, dependence grows. That is why personal growth matters. The stronger your relationship with yourself, the less pressure you place on others to complete you. You stop demanding emotional rescue. You stop asking people to prove your worth. You begin sharing life instead of asking someone to carry it. And that changes everything. There is another form of value people ignore. Respecting individuality. Real connection does not erase identity. Control wants sameness. Value allows difference. If you can disagree and remain connected, you can grow and remain connected. You can have separate thoughts without threatening the relationship, because trust replaces management. Control often creates temporary obedience. Value creates long-term commitment. One demands, the other inspires. Look carefully at the people who leave lasting impact. They did not force loyalty. They earned trust. They did not create pressure. They created meaning. They did not hold tightly. They became worth returning to. That is value, and value requires patience because, unlike control, value cannot be rushed. If you build it moment by moment, dot spores by promise, conversation by conversation, you become someone whose presence improves life instead of controlling it. That kind of person becomes unforgettable. So ask yourself honestly, am I trying to secure connection or become worthy of it? Am I creating pressure or creating peace? Am I trying to keep someone or becoming someone worth staying for? Because love built through control becomes exhausting. Love built through value becomes expansive. It gives room to breathe, room to grow, room to remain honest. And strangely, the less you try to control connection, more real connection becomes, because people may stay for obligation. They may stay for comfort. They may stay for fear. But the deepest kind of love has always sounded different. It says, I am here because I choose to be, and I continue choosing because what we build together has value. If this message reached something inside you, stay for one more minute. Do not leave carrying the same habits into your next connection. Dropped in the comments. I choose respect over games. And let this be the day you stop chasing attention and start building value.